Comes the argument, I think completely erroneous, that even if we are not a Muslim university or established as a Muslim university, we are administering it. Wholly irrelevant. Now, why do you want to destroy this legacy? It still is, I know that. Why do you want to destroy it? How can you argue against the amendment? This is an amendment of Parliament. You cannot argue against it. An executive cannot argue against a statute which is passed by Parliament.
In a constitution bench, it is the duty of the government to assist the court in the correct possible manner.
I'm sorry.
It is struck down by the High Court.
My learned friend, Dr. Dhawan, talked about founding. So it's really, it is the meeting of minds of the community for the purposes of taking forward the idea, which then ultimately results in a university being set up, is what establishment is.
What you're really saying is object and purpose has to be taken into consideration when we examine the word established.
The genesis.
What is the purpose of establishment?
Yes, the whole idea, the genesis of why it was done, that's the basis, brothers. That's what established means. The rest is on recognition only.
Legal establishment has to be in terms of law.
Exactly.
What's that policy?
That's right.
Stipulated.
But that's not the expression establishment in Article 30. It is not legal. Your Lordship, I think Your Lordship has put it very well. It is not the statutory recognition which is at the heart of establishment. That's a legal interpretation. Legally, it can't be established any other way. Can't be set up any other way.
In a society will have to be registered under
Exactly.
association again.
Exactly. So Basha loses sight of all this. And let's not forget the fact that Basha says, because you're not established, nothing else arises. That's what Basha says. So we don't have to go into anything else. He says, you've not been able to prove that you established because there's a statute. Therefore, you're not a minority institution. So nothing else arises. Then comes the argument, I think completely erroneous, that even if we are not a Muslim university or established as a Muslim university, we are administering it. Wholly irrelevant. Trigonometry, conics, solid geometry, differential calculus, integral calculus. This is how it has become an institution of excellence. I mean, when I went to Cairo, on several occasions, it is talked of all over the world. Al-Azhar University, full of people. Now, why do you want to destroy this legacy? It still is, I know that. Why do you want to destroy it? And I have a legal issue, which I am really concerned about. I'll assume that Act 81 Act is bad. But it's bad. It's still a parliamentary statute. It's void, fine. Can a government ever make a submission to the court contrary to a parliamentary statute, even if it is declared to be void? It must support it. An executive cannot go against a parliamentary statute, even if it is struck down. It's struck down every day. When statutes are struck down every day by the High Courts, can a government say, I will go against the statute? This is the first time it has arisen, Maharaj. Having otherwise supported it, they say the executive can change its mind. Of course, it can change its mind by an executive decision. But it can't change its mind by a statute which Parliament has passed and say, no, I will argue against the statute. It's another very serious issue, Maharaj. No, I'm not saying you decide or not decide. There is a parliamentary act
I'm ready to answer this.
No,
Let 81 amendment be decided. I will, my lord, argue against 81 amendment and
how can you,
substantiate it.
I mean, I have
You
a,
can't say that don't touch 81.
how can you argue
Raise
against
this
the
argument
amendment?
also.
This is an amendment of parliament. You cannot argue against it. An executive cannot argue against a statute which is passed by parliament.
In a constitution bench, it is the duty of the government to assist the court in the correct possible manner.
I'm
It
sorry.
is struck down by the High Court. I can always support
I
the High
don't-
Court's view.
I don't know
But
what
then you
you're-
can't say
Sibal, we have
separate,
understood- we have understood your argument.
don't permit arguments on 81.
We have
but will-
understood that argument. It was also flagged by Dr. Dhawan. It was flagged by Dr. Dhawan.
No, he talked about I'm talking about.
He flagged it, but he said after they raise the plea, then in rebuttal, I'll take it up.
Yeah.
We have understood that. But
So, Malas, I'm just saying, this is the mind of these great people in the 19th century. This is what they were looking at. And that's how the whole thing came into being. And that is why, Malas, it was established by the Mohammedan community for the purposes of empowering them to be part of the workforce of this country in various disciplines. And all that we get from it is a certain amount of reservation. Beyond that, we are all subject to the control. So, Malas, that's on established, Malas. Now, Malas, so how do you view that right? You view that right through the eyes of the educational institution. What is that right? It is as wide as the content. The choice is as wide as the content of the article. And that choice cannot, subject matters, I cannot do something for an illegal objective. I cannot do something that is otherwise prohibited by law. That is obvious, Maharaj. I will not, my choice will not extend to that. My choice will only extend, but within the framework of the law, the choice is mine. And within the framework of the law, I can set up a university. Therefore, that is absolute. What is not absolute is that I can be controlled through regulation, which flows from 1906, which is the public interest argument. I just came to what my Lord put to me. That right in yours and me, I can challenge interference. I can say this structure is fine, you can have a doctorate, you can have a UGC representative, I have no problems with that. But I should have that grievance, because the right is mine. But under 19 minutes, that right is subject to the regulations under 19. Because it's an occupation. And for that occupation, I am subject to government regulations, either through the UGC or even otherwise. Occupational matters. So your Lordship now see the correlation between 1906 and 30. The absolute right under 30, subject to regulation under 1906. But that is for efficient standards. And the dual test for excellence is set out here, Maharaj, my learned friend, in Siddharth Bhai.